90% end becoming carriers. And even in early childhood, say up to the age of 5 to 6 years, if children get infected, more than 30% are carriers. So although in terms of volume, adults get infected more often, the harmful effects are basically because of childhood infection. Next. Other problem is in infants and children, infection is usually asymptomatic. So unlike in adults, where they get infected with hepatitis B, they'll come with jaundice, they'll come with anorexia, nausea, vomiting, and you have a chance of diagnosing it. In infants and in children, usually it is asymptomatic. And since it is asymptomatic, it is missed. Not that even if you pick up, there's much you can do about it, but it is missed. They are more likely to become chronic carriers, and it leads to chronic serious consequences like chronic hepatitis, cirrhosis, portal hypertension, bleeding, and liver cancer. So not only are they at risk to themselves, they are at risk. They are a risk to society also, because they are going to be a pool of carriers who are going to infect other non-infected people. So that's why infancy and childhood is where we need to target our preventive measures. Next. So who needs to be vaccinated against hepatitis B? Like the WHO has recommended universal childhood vaccination. All children should be vaccinated for hepatitis B. As far as adults are concerned, the recommendation is for high-risk adults, which will be medical and paramedical personnel, hemodialysis patients, prostitutes and reclams, homosexuals, and parental drug users. This approach may be a little simplistic, because the problem with this approach, as far as adults are concerned, is with compliance. Like Dr. Parmar said, even we know since our medical days that we are at risk for hepatitis B, yet very few of us get ourselves vaccinated. Same way, prostitutes or their clients are not going to come to you saying that I am a high-risk individual, please vaccinate me. So the problem with this approach is compliance and really vaccinating people who need it. So maybe a more pragmatic approach would be to vaccinate all adults who come asking for it. Next. So currently the recombinant vaccines are used. Also plasma vaccines have been around for almost 20 years now, and there have been no adverse effects. But still there is a fear in the mind of clinicians in case there is some virus which has been missed. Hepatitis, HIV virus, we are confident that in plasma-derived vaccine also it is inactivated. But maybe there is some other virus. After all, we know of HIV viruses that only last 15 to 18 years. Before that there was no HIV virus. So like that, maybe there is some other virus which we are not aware of, and which may be there in plasma-derived vaccine which is not inactivated. That's why plasma-derived vaccines world over are probably on the decline or not used at all in the developed nations. 3 injections are recommended at 0, 1 and 6 months. The regime being followed by the Red Crescent is 0, 1 and 2 months, which is usually recommended for rapid immunization. But in this regime, it's better to have a booster at 12 months. Otherwise, the efficacy is not good. Like Dr. Parmar said, deltoid is preferred, and in children and infants, lateral aspect of the thigh. Next. More than 95% individuals develop protective immunity. There are no major contraindication or side effects. And one question which was being repeatedly asked from the crowd, do we need to check whether a person is already infected with hepatitis B or he has immunity for hepatitis B before vaccinating that individual? No prior screening is required. No prior screening is required because it is not cost effective. It is easier to vaccinate a person than to check for antibody level or for the fact whether he is currently infected. And even if he is infected or if he is immune, no adverse harmful effect will come to him. Thank you. Any questions?
Sorry, tell us something about hepatitis B immune globulin.
Hepatitis B immune globulin is used as a post-exposure prophylaxis. Basically, it's used in 3 settings. One, in children who are born to HBsAg positive mothers, and especially if they are E antigen positive also. Second, it is used